View of this device. So starting off, this is obviously the packaging that it comes in, so let's pop it open. And in here, right off the bat, we have the phone. So I'm gonna set it to the side for now. And inside of here we have paperwork along with a SIM eject tool, so straight to the side. And then we got an inclusion of a case, which I really like. Now the case might not be the highest quality, but the fact that they did put in an effort and actually included one is what I appreciate here. So you can see it right here. I'm gonna set it to the side for now. And then inside we got a charger. Now this is probably the one of the crappier chargers that you can get. It's a single 10 watt. So if I can actually get the light on here. I'm not sure if this will be visible, but it's max 10 watts. So yeah. So I'll just drop it back in here, again to the side. And then inside of here we got a cable. So this is the opening. So this is a type A to type C. Really nice that it's type C. I literally reviewed like 20 minutes ago a previous device that I had. Was a, what was it? Some kind of weird Infinix brand, whatever. But that phone, about the same price, really similar specifications. The difference is it came with a micro USB, so obviously it's something that I will not happily accept here. So yeah, now next thing we got is some wired headphones. Obviously they look like trash because they probably sound just the way they look like. So straight to the side, get rid of this and this, and from here let's start off by putting out the cover here. So it is fairly slim. It's really slim, honestly. It does actually cover the camera bump. It's fairly small camera bump, but it's really nice that the super slim case actually covers it. So you can see it right here. It looks really slick on it. Now usually I'm used to these cases that come with the device to be a little bit more on the bulky side. They also include this kind of like lip on the edges so you can place your phone on the screen. This one doesn't include it, but still protects the screen actually. It is by just like a millimeter or so, but good enough for me. And because of this, the phone doesn't actually gain any more in like size, so that is really nice. Now the phone is obviously already set up, so I don't have to go through that right now. So let's jump straight to these specifications. Let me just quickly unlock it and make sure that the brightness is maxed out, and unfortunately it is. So it looks like we're not going to be getting any brighter right here. Now let me also zoom in. And we can now get straight into it. So the phone has a 6.55 inch 720 by 1600 display. It's an LCD IPS, no AMOLED unfortunately, with a 82.9% screen to body ratio. Now as you can see, the significant bezel right here is at the bottom. This is the biggest one, and it does kind of make it feel like it's a little bit of a last gen device. But then at the top we have a teardrop notch, which looks okay. It's nothing obtrusive or anyway like super big, so it's okay here. And also it has a density of 269 pixels per inch. Nice. And yeah, that's about all I can say about the display itself. So moving on again to the cameras now. At the front, this teardrop notch, we have a 8 megapixel wide sensor, and that shoots at 1080p 30 frames. Now I won't be expecting anything outstanding out of this sensor, so I'm just gonna say that right off the bat. But then if we flip it over, we will have a quadruple camera setup. Hopefully you can see it. So there is a nice array of different circles there, along with also making the flash look like it's part of the sensor as well. But the main sensor here for the photos is a 16 megapixel wide sensor. Then we have a 5 megapixel ultra wide, and something that I just don't really like, the inclusion of 2 megapixel macro and depth camera. Now right off the bat, macro might be okay, but we will test it. But the depth sensor is just completely useless, and it's only here to rack up the count of the cameras. It serves no purpose other than that. But you also get to pay for it, even though you don't get to use it in reality. So I really hate how majority of the manufacturers for like budget devices or mid-range devices add those. They bring no value to the device, but you still have to pay for the inclusion of it because it is still some kind of hardware. And I just don't like it one bit. So moving on to actual camera test, let's bring out our subject right here, which is my trusty plant, and launch the camera. So let's get into it. Hopefully you can see it. Now this is gonna be, I believe, the normal sensor. So let me quickly try to find the wide one. Super macro, or not wide one, like I meant macro. And let's see how this one performs. So this looks as though the closest as it can get. Allow, and now look at it. So this is going to be the macro one, and you can't get really close with it, as you can clearly see. The quality of this macro is mediocre at best. Can't say it's a good macro. Now this is the wide one, and apart from me just failing to capture focus in the middle right here, I did capture it on the side. So I'm gonna go back and capture just one more photo, as long as I can. Actually, there we go, cancel this, and let's go to, this is already on a normal. Okay, so I think this will be in focus. Yep, there we go. It's good. Still got it on the side, but you can clearly see the quality right here. I'm gonna place it maybe a little bit closer, so you can see even when I zoom in past the resolution, even though it shrinks, this is fairly detailed. I would say it's a respectable 13 megapixel camera, or 16 in this case. Well, if we go back to the macro, which this was a macro, this just doesn't look good. Now I'm not sure how much this is visible in the camera, but when you're looking at this, the macro is also not very good here. So we actually have two useless sensors instead of one. So that's a little bit of a shame. But outside of that, let's also look at the selfie. So I'm gonna flip it over, and now it does flip it over as well. It's nothing really outstanding here. It does capture a little bit of a detail, struggles with light, and just kind of makes a little bit of a blurry mess in a less well-lit environment. so the selfie isn't great either. Now, like I said, the 16 megapixel is alright, nothing outstanding, but it will get the job done. And now moving on to the last part of the video, it's gonna be the actual hardware specifications of this device. So it comes with a Helio P22 processor, also has a built-in storage of either 64 or 128 gigabytes. And now, depending on which one you go for, you'll have two variants. So if you go for the 64, you have a 4 gigabyte variant in terms of RAM, and if you go for the 120, you get the 4 and also a 6 gigabyte RAM variant. So in this case, 4, 6 gigs, I think both of them are alright. If you have the money, probably going for the 6 will be a bit of a safer option for a longer term. But that being said, the processor here is just budget processor, still better than what the Infinix for the same price has, which that was a Helio A25, which was even worse than this. So I wouldn't call this a long-term device. It probably won't last reliably for multiple generations, so like 2 years I would say max. If you want to keep it for longer, it will probably really struggle with just performing well. Now, outside of that, it does come with a fairly big battery of 5000 milliamp hours, but like I said before, it does have that 10-watt charger, which is just kind of bad. And like I also said, with that charger, we do actually have a Type-C port, which to me is a thumbs up. At least one thing that was done right here. And another downside of it is lack of NFC. So if you like to pay for stuff with your phone, this is not the phone for you. You won't be able to do so. No NFC means no card support. And last thing, fingerprint sensor on the back, as you've probably seen, along with a headphone jack on the top. And yeah, so it's basically all for here. And there's, I believe, 2 colors of it, and it looks like ALCATEL decided to name these colors fairly simple. So the one that I have is it's not named after a concept, it's just black, which is a surprise. So like you see, black version of the device, black color, and yeah, not much more to say here. As you can see, the appearance of the device looks fairly nice for a budget device. I really like the way it looks like. It is plastic almost all around it. This is plastic back. Even though it looks like glass, it is plastic. At the front we do have a glass frame, also glass, even though it doesn't actually look like glass, but it certainly sounds like it. So it's not going to be the most durable device. It looks nice, looks semi-premium, if that's the way you can describe it. And other than that, it does run fine. I haven't really expected much of like slowdowns and just the phone just lagging overly. But I assume if you plan to game on it, it might not perform as well. Like I said, this is a fairly budget processor that is on here, and with the price of about 170 euros, this device falls under, in my opinion, budget category. So yeah, and with that price tag, I would like to see something a little bit better. If you're planning to, for instance, drop like 20 euros more, you can get something better. For instance, I reviewed like yesterday Vivo Y70. That was 100 euros more, but they also had Vivo Y20s, I believe, which was on a Snapdragon and fairly close to this one, with a better charger though, and the display was roughly the same, but there were a couple improvements compared to this one. So at the end of the day, it's what you're looking for and how much you plan to spend. If you don't mind spending a couple more euros, then I would suggest the Y20s from Vivo. If you plan to spend this kind of money, 170, then, well, this is most certainly a better option than what I reviewed just a moment ago. And the phone honestly performs just fine. I don't have any kind of like huge gripes with it. It does run fine, doesn't slow down or lag. The camera, like I said before, there is 2 useless cameras at the back, which basically leaves in a way just 2 sensors, a 16 megapixel wide and 5 megapixel ultra wide. And the 2 other ones, well, depth you don't really get to use overall. It's kind of being semi-utilized by the wide one, but there's no difference if you cover it up. And the macro is just garbage, so it's being outperformed by the 16 megapixel wide. And overall the charging is a little bit meh. So yeah, that being said, do I recommend this device? Like I said, if you plan to spend exactly 170 euros, then the answer is yes. If you don't mind spending a little bit more, then the answer is no. And in terms of what I would advise you, probably, like I said, Vivo, which costs I believe 180 euros, will be a little bit of a better option right here. It has basically everything that this device has, plus a couple improvements over this one for only 10 euros more. But that being said, I'm gonna finish up the video here. So if you found it helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.